Hi, my name is Sally Bernard, an artist, author, and spiritual experiencer. Welcome to Call Me Zena, a true story into the spiritual realms. Join me as I sit and discuss the journey of self-discovery and awakening with the help of my spirit guides. It's time to trust your intuition. This is your inner knowings. Through questions and points of conversation, I can help others feel empowered. With the ability to touch people's past lives, I help others connect and not feel alone. Sit with me and call in live, 888-994-4995. Hi, good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to my show again. It's Monday at 2:30. We're on the air. Hi, good afternoon, everybody that's in the studio audience with me. I'm open to any questions. Call in or ask anybody in the studio that wants to ask me a question. I'm opening it up right now. Thank you.
Sally, I know you wanted to talk about time travel.
Right.
And there's different continuums. Can you give us some information on what that means?
Okay, I think, we sometimes get this confused. Time travel, I astral projected, but time travel is something that happens within our realm, I believe. So we change, I'm not going to say dimensions, it's a whole show, but just to say it very quickly, we follow different timelines. We may be on one timeline, and perhaps we're thinking we'd like to do something else, and we can switch. We're not always aware of it. Something that I read, and actually I believe has happened to me a few times, is how do we know that we're switching a timeline? It can be very, very subtle. It can be something as simple as seeing a painting, as we were just saying, in the same place every time we walk into that place, as we are in the studio here. And then I'm seeing it slightly in another position. I may not be aware of it. I think I'm getting a little bit of vibrational. I don't know. I'm fine. No, it doesn't bother me. So what it is we'll switch a timeline. Usually when we switch a timeline, it's usually relevant to what we want to do. So if we're thinking we want to do something and it's not working in one particular lifetime, we switch and we'll go into another lifetime. Not lifetime, I keep saying that, into another timeline. But we're not always aware we're doing it. But they will give us little subtle clues. We can be driving down the street. We might always see a tree in the same place, and suddenly we're driving along and that tree doesn't exist anymore. I mean, that really doesn't happen, but it can happen when we switch a timeline.
Is it like old memories coming back and things changing?
It's not necessarily old memories. I believe that would be past lives. It's what we're actually happening. It's us. We're actually doing that. We don't realize it, but I think it happens much more than we realize that it's happening. We'll switch timelines when it's relevant for us to do that in this particular lifetime. I don't claim to know a lot about it, but I'm beginning to understand much more.
Take a look over here.
Hi.
Sally, let me ask you, is it true that we live different levels? Our souls are on different levels. So
Yes.
Some people can see the future because they can see into that level because it's too close together. It's called spacing. Does that really exist?
Yes, it does, Freddie. In answer to that question, as far as I can tell you, yes, it absolutely does. We go to where we are. In other words, if I've learned a lot more, I'm going to bring it into this dimension. Someone that is not following, I can't say a path, we all have our choice whether we want to follow this path. But if they're not open to this, they're not going to be able to do some of the things that someone, not just me, I mean, there are many people that can do this, that can then continue on a path that's going to open up more for us. I'm sorry, I kind of lost the question. Can you just rephrase that a little bit?
How is it that we are in different dimensions? How is it that certain people can see into the next dimension?
Because we've opened up to it. They can, absolutely, 100%. The key to all this, and the answer to this, is when we're ready. It's up to us when we're ready. When we're ready, a lot of things open up. I mean, I didn't even know I was ready, and yet I was given so much. I was projecting, I was seeing the future. So I questioned myself, how was this possible? But what was happening, I was learning more. So consequently, I took note of a lot of things that were happening to me. Whereas maybe a year prior to that happening, I might not have taken any notice. It happens to all of us if we open up a little bit. We're not always ready. We're all at different points in our life.
So how can you change your future when people ask you certain questions? Am I going to meet Mr. Right? Am I going to meet Mrs. Right? And is it safe to go to work? How do you answer these questions to change it if we're linear and
Well-
it's already done?
I don't know, because we've set our path. But if we ask a particular question and we're ready, and I can say something that maybe I'm ready to do, it will happen. But you know what? It doesn't always happen, because if we're not ready and we haven't learned, we may need to stay, as I would hear, and they're telling me, stagnant in the situation that we're in. It's when we begin to see that there is more, we open up that path, and a lot will come to us, but we're not always ready. I mean, we're all on a journey, and many of us are not ready in this lifetime. We're at different stages in this life.
Does positive thinking about oneself change the outcome of their timeline?
I believe very much in positive thinking, yes, because we don't want to suffer and hurt ourselves many times in this particular lifetime. So if we can be positive, I believe we can change the course of direction by being positive, yes. But again, having said that, we all are on a learning process. So sometimes we have to go through that negativity to learn something.
Hi, Sally.
Hi.
How's it going?
Everything's good, Josh. How
Sweet.
about you?
Pretty good. First, I want to tell all your viewers or listeners out there that they can call in to the show if they have any spiritual questions, by calling in to 888-994-4995 Studio A, because I know you have plenty of viewers out there wanting to ask you questions and all that.
Thank you.
But I wanted to ask you, our dreams, are there any significance of what dreams are?
Absolutely, 100%. I mean, do I claim to have the answers? No, but I feel very strongly about this. We get many messages in our dreams. I believe that we have a lot of dreams because it goes into our subconscious of what may have been happening during the course of the day. But the ones, and they fade, we don't remember. But the ones that are significant and the ones that we remember have a big impact on what's going on. I believe they're giving us messages because we're more relaxed through a dream.
Even ones that we remember from like a childhood, because there's like one I specifically remember. I remember going into my backyard and I walk into the mouth of an alligator. I don't know what that tells me, but that's just one I specifically remember from my childhood, you know?
Okay, I think, having said that, I think it's for you to absolutely interpret that yourself, Josh, because they play games with us too. They do that and you'll say, oh, what could that possibly mean? We're not given, in our dreams that we remember, the messages are important, but I don't think they always come with complete clarity, if that makes sense. So sometimes we may have to interpret our own dreams. If you remember it, and you're saying from your childhood, it's definitely worth trying to interpret that.
I like that. Thank you, Sally.
Anybody else here right now? The question. Okay, it's gone kind of quiet.
Hi, Sally.
Hi.
How's everything?
Everything's good, and with you?
I'm fine.
Good.
My sister just gave birth on the 13th. I wanted to know what the guides have to say for my newborn nephew.
Well, first of all, congratulations.
Thank you.
I feel that this, is it a boy or a girl? I'm not sure. Okay. I feel that there is a knowing to this child, okay? And I think that you don't see it right now, but you will become a mentor, if that makes sense to you.
I knew he was going to be born on the 13th.
There you go. So whatever you're feeling is accurate. I believe that it's very important that you know that. You will be a mentor to this child.
Mm-hmm.
I feel that very strongly. I'm getting goosebumps right now. And once again, congratulations.
Thank you. And I wanted to know what does my guides have to say for my family?
Patience. We were talking about that earlier. There are a lot of things going on, I'm going to say, below the surface, so to speak, or up in the air. It will be okay, but you're going through a transition, if that makes sense to you. Mm-hmm. Your family, and you know who it is, even in your immediate family. But just know that we are playing a game. So it's actually playing out right now. So take interest into it, but look into it a little more deeply. There are some things that you have the guidance, but you need to give them the guidance, if that makes sense.
It makes sense. And I was wondering, the pieces that I've lost in my past of myself, was I recovering it?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I have no idea what that was, but I'm hearing 100%. You are ahead of the game, if that makes sense to you. You are, because you're aware of it. So whatever has happened, look at it from your point of view, from where you are today. You've come a long way, and you've done it very fast, I think. So continue. Do not ever doubt yourself. That's very important for you to know, because what you're thinking is right, okay? I'm not saying, oh, I'm okay, everything is going to be okay, but you are on the right track for sure. Your thinking is important right now.
Okay, thank you, Sally.
Hey, Sally. So
Hi.
I just had a question about my life and where I'm at currently, and if I'm in the right place right now or not, or if I need to try to find something else.
No, you're in the right place. Don't doubt that at all. You're absolutely in the right place. I didn't even have to think about that. It came to me immediately. Okay?
All right.
And good luck with this, because it's
Thank you
going to
very
go
much.
it's going to go a long way, but you have to know that, all right?
I think Baxter needs a lot of help, actually.
Well, that's okay, as long as he knows that. That's all that matters. We've just validated this on the show, okay? Don't doubt yourself, Baxton.
Sally, Tracy wrote in.
Hi, Tracy.
She says, will my place in Lake Worth sell quick?
Okay, it is going to sell, but you're going to go through a little bit of, not as quick as you think it's going to be. Hang out for what you want. That's very important. You're going to get a few, I'm going to say, offers, but don't settle for the first one. Do not settle for the first one. Make sense?
All right, see what she says.
Okay, oh, I'm thinking it was a phone call. That's okay.
Yep, no, she's writing in, so we'll see what happens with
Okay,
that.
okay.
And
Because
she's giving you a heart, so I guess that
like,
makes sense
yeah,
to
that
her.
makes sense. A heart is always okay, right?
She's sending hearts, so I guess that works for her too.
Okay, Tracy, great.
And tell me about my guides. What do they have to say, Sally?
They're also telling you to, they're telling, I've never said this to you, Dawn, but you need to, and the exact words they're saying, butt out of a few things that are going on, okay? Does that make sense to you?
Okay.
Just put it on, and that's not rude. I mean, butt out sounds like, oh my God. No, they're giving you a little bit of advice. Let things take its course. Try not to get too involved with, I'm feeling it's family, but try not to get too involved. It will work out. Not always does it need your input, Dawn. Okay, I'm sorry to say this because it sounds rude, but they're telling me to tell her to butt out a little bit, okay? You may know best, but they don't always realize that you know best. Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
Okay,
I would love that.
okay. So take it easy on yourself, okay?
going
And it'll work out.
butt
You
out a
don't
little
have
bit.
to always have the answers, Dawn, okay? That's what I'm hearing.
I like that. And when we're talking time travel,
Okay.
good question?
Time travel. Okay, time travel means a lot of different things to us. People say, well, was astral projection of what I was, I had many trips on astral projection. It's not necessarily always time travel. Time travel takes us into different aspects of our life today. We travel, and sometimes we go into the future. And I've had premonitions of the future. It's a very open-ended question. If you could ask me one specific thing about that, I think it's going to be easier for them to tell me what it is.
Can we all time travel?
We can, but we're not always aware of what was happening. We all have this ability. We just don't know we have it.
And if we want to, I know people that just put their minds to it and say, I'm going to go to sleep now, I'm going to go travel.
Well, we got to believe it, but I guess the ones that say that do. And we don't want to go all over the place. I think what I'm hearing is give a specific example to ourselves where we want to try. Time travel is going more into the future. Timelines are a little different. We get that confused a little bit. Time travel is very available to us if we believe it.
And how is that different than astro projecting?
Not a whole lot of difference. Astral projection is also the same thing. We may go to a specific place. If we want to see something or know what's going on, we can do that through astral projection. Time traveling is maybe going into the past or into the future, because absolutely, and it's hard to explain, that it's all going on at the same time. We are in the past, we are in the future, we're in the now. Do I completely understand that? No. But I'm getting more aware of it because these are the messages that are giving to us. So I believe we can go, everything is happening in our now. So whatever is happening, there is a lot of different things going on at the same time. It's where we put our focus into what's going on.
Interesting.
Hi, Sally.
Hi.
Again, if people just want to call in 888-994-4995, Studio A.
Thank you, John.
And the reason I say that is because I want people just give. I know I have a major respect for you and your spiritual plane and all that, but can you give me a little bit of credibility that you have, or a little sureness that when I ask you these questions that I'm going to be given the correct answers?
Thank you for that, and I appreciate that, because that's what obviously anybody is thinking.
Yeah.
I've had a lot of things happen to me. I think I was ready to start off with, and I wrote a book about my astral projection and my travels. I didn't understand this, but so much was flowing into my life of what was going on. I have been able to answer, and I'm happy to have any questions with accuracy to the people that have asked me questions. What I have said or predicted or even premonitions have come about. I am probably the first person to want this validation, because I say to myself, how is this possible? But when I say that, I get tremendous validation. I can certainly understand anybody saying, well, how does she know this? I don't know. It comes to me and it happens. I was never able to draw or paint. Suddenly overnight, I'm drawing all this because I was given a message, go ahead and draw. I was also given a message to draw, like I was sketching, but it was from previous lives, things that I had never seen in this lifetime. I'm doing the signs and symbols of many things that were going on in the 15th century. So my biggest critic, and is this real, is actually myself. But when I was validated so much with this, I couldn't doubt myself. Do I expect everyone to believe this? Absolutely not. I'm here just as a messenger. But if I'm accurate, good. If hasn't come about, it doesn't mean it's going to happen. I don't have the ego to say because I said it's going to happen. I do this from my heart the best that I can. And it seems to have worked.
I like that. And then all the paintings that I see on the screen are all around you, those are your paintings?
They're all my paintings, yes. They have many meanings. But in the beginning, I couldn't draw. But sometimes I'd never, but I was sketching things from previous lives that I didn't even know that I knew. And when I looked it up on the internet, certain signs and symbols from many centuries ago, I see my drawings of what I've drawn. I don't understand it completely, but I'm obviously seeing things that I didn't even know that I was seeing, but I'm putting them onto paper. So that was my own validation. Plus Aldo, who people know today, came into my life, helped me tremendously. I didn't understand it in the beginning, but as the years went by, it made more and more sense. And today my life is all about this. I love it. I want to spread my message to people. I want to understand more, because I believe that I'm not special. I believe that anyone can do this if they're ready and open to doing this.
I like that. And then who is Zena? Because is Zena your middle name? Because I see obviously it says host Sally Bernard, but
thank you.
Who is Zena?
My name is Sally Bernard, but when I started this, and it was in my first book, I believe it's out of production right now because I'm doing another one. But they actually, my guides at that time, and showed me, and I saw a lot of messages in my dreams when I was projecting myself. They told me to call myself Zena, not all the time, but when I'm like on my show, I'm given more message. Well, I don't know if I'm given more messages, but they feel comfortable calling me Zena. That's my only answer to that. So I call myself Zena on the show. Okay. It's up to someone else if they want to call me Sally or Zena. I don't tell them.
Awesome. I like that.
Hey, Sally, I wanted to know, you can elaborate what time travel is for us?
Well, time travel, I believe, is going into the future, into our past. because as I had said earlier, from what I understand, everything is happening at the same time. So it's not, it's more of we're able to see more if we're open. So we can see into the future, because you've often seen it, and many shows on TV are people coming from the future into our now. So if we take now of what's happening, there's so much more happening in our now, because really, from what I understand, there's no time anyway. So everything that's going on is happening right now. So that would bring in the past and the future. We can travel to either one.
I could say that's true, because I was telling my friend today when I was at work to bring his work shoes, his steel toes, and then he didn't, and something fell on his toe today, and like he almost broke his toe or whatnot.
There you go, because you actually had a premonition. But you know, it's entirely up to us whether we follow that. I do believe today when I hear a message, I'm going to listen. It may not happen, but I'm still going to listen. I think it's important. And it's also important, if we get something for somebody, to pass it to them. They may not believe it. It doesn't matter, but you've done your job.
Exactly. That's why I just told him.
That's great. That was good. Thank you for that.
Sally, does it matter what day of the year, month of the year, and year when you're born? Is there a specific reason why that exists?
I think so, Freddie. I'm not completely really up into this, because astrology is not really what I completely understand. But I think so, because from birth, before we come in, we choose our path. And I think we choose, because depending on the stars and the planets, and this is not something that I have a lot of access to, but I believe it, is we're going to choose a date that we're going to need, or what the planets so-called say that what's going to happen to us if we're born on this certain date. I think it helps us follow our path. We're in tune with that before we come in, as far as I know. So I'm a Libra, and actually when I read about Libra, I am totally a Libra. I say this could happen or that could happen. I'm very indecisive. When I started to read about a Libra, that should definitely be my birth sign.
Hey, Sally, I want to know if astral projections and dreams are the same thing.
Well, not every dream is an astral projection, and not every astral projection necessarily is a dream, if that makes sense. I distinguished between the two before I even knew what it was, because let's say I started about 17, 18 years ago to what I called fly. And today, if you ask me any of my journeys that I went, I can tell you every single detail. Now, if you ask me what I dreamt last night, I have no idea. So it's, for me, it makes it very, very real. It's not the same dreaming, and I think they call it lucid dreams.
Yes.
That's what's very important. There is a difference.
Thank you.
Hi, Sally.
Hi.
We're talking about a little bit about change in our lives on the show today. Do you think any change in your life is good, or it depends on what that is?
No, I think any change. I mean, that's a very open-ended, you know, because but I think when we make a change, yes, because it helps us move forward, even if that change is not necessarily what is happening the way it should be, it's still playing itself out. A change is good. Any change is good, I think. I feel that, for anybody.
Right.
We don't have to always follow it. Having said that, let me just explain what I feel. If you change and you want to do something, but as you're doing it, everything seems to be going, oh, this is not working out, this is not working out, then go back before the change, because I think we get subtle messages that way too.
Right.
If that makes sense to you.
Exactly.
Okay. Going back to, because I know the theme of today's show was talking about past lives. Is there a limited amount of past lives that we can have or that we can tap into, or how do we tap into that?
I don't believe there's any limited amount. We're all on different parts of our journey here. So some of us may have come in many, many, many times. Some of us, we may be new to this. I don't believe the way that Earth is now. I believe that most people are not. Hi, Sandy. I just want to acknowledge the fact that you just came. We all, I think everybody, we're not newcomers that are here right now as the Earth is right now. We've had some experience, some more than others, yes. But I believe the ones that are coming in right now in this particular lifetime are the children that are open and want very much for us to change. So a lot of the children coming in are with much more knowing, but it's up to us as adults when we have our child, they start asking us questions that seem like, oh my gosh, why are they asking all this? They have a remembrance. But as anything else, we come in and we forget. So this is very important for us to listen to our children today.
It definitely seems that out of all the believement, and I don't want to tie in the word religion, but all that aspect of things, it seems that spirituality is definitely growing up there with
You are
thoughts of everyone.
absolutely 100% as far as I'm saying. You know, I can't tell you everything I'm saying is correct, but my belief system is absolutely that, yes. Because there's a lot of, and I don't want to offend anybody, I have a lot of listeners as far as religion or the control, but we're getting ready to understand more, for want of a better way of putting that. So if anything, even in school, our teachers are saying, if we take out the word control, let's not be controlled as much as we are today without offending anyone. Sometimes through organized religion, there is control. But then again, I'm not here to knock anybody's religion either. We are who we are. And it's a matter of time when we begin to wake up. When we're ready, we begin to understand more. That's all. We're all at different levels in this life.
And so then, in a more of a, I guess, a spiritual question, is the body attached to the soul, or is the soul attached to the body?
I'm going to say a little bit of both, because without a soul coming in, we need the body. Without a body coming, we can't function here. So it's a little bit of both. But when we leave here and we go into consciousness, which is another show, then we don't necessarily have to have a body, but we come back. I believe we come back many, many times until we've actually got it here, which to me is an illusion. It's a game we're playing, and that would be, again, I'm mentioning many themes for a later show, but if you can remember this, I don't always remember what I'm talking about. It's very, very interesting to see this as a play, as an illusion. So let me know that in a couple of weeks, and we'll do a show on that. I won't remember unless I listen to
No,
the
yeah,
show.
I like that. I'll tell my friend Geta.
Thank you, yes. Yeah, do you have a question? Or?
No, I think we're gonna take a commercial break
Okay,
right now.
Okay.
So we'll see you on the other side.
We'll see you short. Literally, not quite on the other side, Josh.
yeah.
Well, maybe. This world, this life, this illusion. What is going on, we ask? What is happening? Why not take time and see what is happening? This world as we know it, it seems so real, and yet so far away from where we've come. Corruption, greed, anger, power, revenge. Please wake up. We can change what is around us. How, we may ask? Learn to go back to where we were. Then we will have the clues. Then we can change and go forward. Please take the time. Do not fall into the game which we have put upon ourselves. We can change. We can make a difference. We have the power, each and every one of us. Go in peace. Go with love. Go as one. Zena.
A true story, Call Me Zena, is the telling of Sally Bernard. Born in London, England at the end of the Second World War, she came to the U.S. in 1979. A mother of two and grandmother of four, she settled in Florida and worked in real estate. While going through a difficult time in her life, she was admitted into a hospital overnight in December of 2005. While settling back into her life, she began having vivid dreams and documenting them. By the third dream, a lady gave her a message to draw. With no artistic background or interest in art or history, Sally listened to her dreams and grabbed paper and crayons. Today, she has over 150 pieces of inspiring art and poetry. This book follows her journey and interpretations of these messages. She describes in detail how she's able to astral project and who she has met along her travels, including her spirit guides. This book will show you how anything is possible with an open mind. These events have changed Sally's life's direction, and this book will show you how to change yours. Purchase Call Me Zena on Amazon today.
You have been watching Call Me Zena with your host, Sally Bernard. As an artist, author, and spiritual experiencer, know that you could always seek me out for resources. Visit artbysallybernard.com today. Now, back to the show. Hi, welcome back, everybody. Again, we're open to any questions. We seem to have quite a lot of people in the studio. Anybody that wants to call in, I'm here right now for the next half hour. Anybody want to open up with questions?
Hi, Sally. So I would like to ask you a question. Are there any examples or instances where people traveled through time?
Where travel?
Through time?
Yes, we can, absolutely. I feel that very much. We can go into the future because, as I had said a little earlier on the show, everything is happening in what we call our now. So with that, there's future and the past can happen. So if we're aware of that, that's how we get premonitions. I've had quite a few premonitions. I didn't understand at the time how I was able to do this, but because it's all happening, we can tap into that. Again, this is another show, and I can, the best that I can, to explain that. But it's all happening at the same time. So yes, in answer to your question, we can travel in time.
She wants to know if there are any examples.
Examples of traveling into time?
Traveling through time, yes.
Traveling through time or into time? Because through time, you would see certain things. Now, I'm only going to say to you, as far as I know, how we would be able to do that is through what I've experienced is astral projection. We can put ourselves, it's like going through a tunnel, and that's what I'm seeing right now, and we can stop anywhere in that tunnel. So if we want to see a certain, it's like watching a movie, and we pick out certain pieces of that. We have the best of my knowledge, we have the ability to travel through time, absolutely, because we hear of people and we see many, maybe movies about how people are coming from the past, from the future into our present. I believe that, and I believe a lot of maybe the producers that are writing that know this, not all of them, or they may not even realize it. But yes, it can happen. We can go through time.
So I have another question for you. So according to Einstein time travel, is it possible with, he says that time travel is possible with respect to calculations, but is it a way to make it real in physical world?
Is it a way to
make it real in the physical world as of now?
Bring it into our physicality? Are you saying, is there a way to bring in the time travel into our physicality now? Yes. Absolutely, because it's like anything else. If you're aware of it and you want something, it's kind of like asking, like I'm doing maybe right now, a message. If we can get that message from the future, we can bring it into our present. I'm not saying it'll always work, but it is possible. And I think when you believe that it's possible, if we hear something and it's coming from the future, we don't necessarily know that. But if it's something we're hearing, it's possible it is. So we can bring it into our now, into our present.
Okay, thank you.
Does that make sense to you?
Yeah.
Is that okay?
Sally, I wanted to know, we live in like a time continuum, right?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
That was the question?
Yes.
Oh, the answer is yes, yes, absolutely.
Sally, is there any way of changing our situation? And if so, what do we have to do to change our present course, let's say?
Okay, I'm seeing right in front of me, believe that it's possible. Absolutely, we can change. We are our own producers of our movie, in other words, our life. So we can change every aspect of that as long as we believe that we can. That's where a timeline might come in, because the particular timeline, which we were talking about before, everything is happening in that particular lifetime, and it might be something that we don't like and we can change it. This sounds ridiculous, but what we can do, if you believe it, is switch another timeline. So everything might be okay and similar to the timeline we're in, except for a certain thing that we may want, and we want it to happen. In another lifetime, in another timeline, we have the ability to change that. It sounds ridiculous, and it sounds very complicated, but we've got to start somewhere. Believe that that can happen, and it will. As far as I know.
So belief is more important than spirituality?
Well, they go hand in hand, because if you want to believe something but you think it's impossible. I think you need to tap into the spirituality of this and say to yourself, well, I do believe with what I think will happen, which is a little bit of spirituality and faith here. So if you believe that, yes, it will happen. May not happen immediately, but we may be doing that. This is important because something that we might want, it may not be our time for it to happen when we want it, because we're all here to learn lessons. That lesson might tell us, we don't know that, but that lesson might tell us, no, it's not in our time. There is really no time, that we need to learn a little bit more. But have faith and believe with what you want will happen in its own time. Does that make sense?
It makes sense. Are we in control of our fate, or is fate already there and we're acknowledging something that has occurred?
No, we are in control. Absolutely, I feel strongly about that. But because we're here to learn, we don't always see that. And, you know, they say bad things happen. Yes, we don't go through this life plain sailing because we're not learning anything. But ultimately, the end product is what we want. It may take a day, it may take a year. Believe that you know that. Believe in yourself, and what you want will happen. It will happen. If you doubt it, it may not. That's bringing the negativity.
So positivity and believing in what you want makes things, they can happen.
Yes, but you know something, again, going back to our own destiny, and it may not be correct, what we want sometimes is not always the best thing for us to learn, but we're not going to really accept that. You know, we might think something and we want it, and it may not go our way. But if you continue, it will happen, but it may not always be the best thing. Does that make sense?
Sally, I spoke to somebody this morning, and she tells me that she's very spiritual and she believes that God will provide a path. But she also had a dream, which I think is what she lives in, fear. How does fear, that whole mathematical word fear, fit into your belief, your thoughts, and ability to see your future in a positive light?
Fear is our own worst enemy. That's what I'm feeling, and that's what they're saying, and I totally believe that, because that's feeding into the negativity. No, it's hard to be positive, and I understand that all the time, but fear is an enemy. It's not, it's something that if we have fear, these things are not going to happen, because we're disrupting what we would call the vibrational energy. We're bringing in negativity. Energy is what we are, and energy is very important where it flows. So if we're fearful, it's hitting people or places and things with negative energy, and it's going to attract more of that. If we can uplift ourselves a little bit and function in positivity, even though things may happen, continue to be positive. And it's very easy to say, well, there's, you know, say to yourself, there's a reason for that. We're still uplifting ourselves when we do that, because what we are, we attract. So we're negative, we're going to attract negativity. If we're positive, it will work. It will work. Do we all remember this? Absolutely not. Do I remember it? No. But I should know better because I talk about it a lot.
So do we keep the faith because we think about it, it should be always in a positive light? Or is there an acceptance to it's going to occur, let me look and see what happens?
Well, I like that. It's a little bit of both. I tell you to be uplifted even when you're going through a negative situation. And that's really the best way to handle it, because we may need to go through that. We may not see it at the time, but when bad things happen to us later on as time goes by, we sometimes can see the outcome of how that negativity actually was important for us to learn a lesson. It's difficult. It is very difficult to do that. But sometimes what we think is negative can turn out positive, if that makes sense.
It makes sense. But what do you tell somebody who's going through a very serious medical condition and they feeling down and depressed because of it?
Well, try to uplift that person. I mean, we can't escape negativity through illness, and I can't say to you you're meant to have that illness so that you're going to be positive, but it's a path that we've taken. So try to, even though you may be sick or you may have some, just try to go through life the best that we can. and look at it from different points of view. When we're in pain and we're suffering, that's very, very hard to do. But I'm going to say, and they're telling me, there's always light at the end of the tunnel. I feel like I meant to say that. There is light at the end of anybody's tunnel. Just believe that. Does that make sense?
It
That's
does,
what
but
I'm-
there's so many other questions that I have to the same subject matter.
Okay.
How do you attach people who are negative about why you're sick? Let's say somebody that has lung cancer and they smoked a lot of cigarettes. How do you detach all of the outside noise that accompanies that prognosis of condemning you and saying you got what you deserve? And how do you put that to the side?
Well, it's difficult, Freddie. Of course it's difficult. If someone's got a serious illness and they're going through it, it's hard. But you know what? And through me understanding a little more, that I've done research a lot. I listen to, if our viewers know who Gaia is on TV, there are many doctors that come on that show that are actually given terminal illnesses and told that they're not going to survive. But some of them have opened up to spirituality, and that's why they're on the show called Gaia, on their show. And some amazing things have happened. But then on the flip side of that, we're all going to die. You know, we don't want to die young, particularly, but everything has a reason. But let's go through all this knowing that we're going through it, and if we're not ready, I'm not going to tell everybody, hey, you can change it and suddenly become well, but there is proof that people that have had certain illnesses that are terminal believe this way and have then gone to their doctors and the x-rays, so everything's cleared up. But it may not be everybody's time for it to clear up. So it's kind of you do and you don't type of thing. But just know that you can help yourself, even though you're going through a terminal illness. It's not easy. Well, we all go. It's just when we go, you know.
Sandy, do you have a question?
Do you have a question?
Oh,
There's a mic there. If you.
nodding because of what I went through.
Okay. Okay.
Now, do you have is it a sense of learning something, going through something bad, or going through something, or someone you know going through something? Do you learn more about yourself when you go through these things?
Yes, I can say that too. You do. There are certain aspects. I can't put my belief on other people. I can only tell them what I believe and what's happened to me through. I've had a lot of negativity in my life. I've overcome quite a lot, but I'm still me, and it doesn't always work out. But if someone is going through something, that's their journey. I can tell them from my experiences how I've been able to uplift myself, not all the time. So we all have our, I'm not on someone else's path. That person is on their own path. But I can help them through it the best that I can. Not everybody wants to hear that either. I hope that was the answer, because sometimes I hear different things and I'm not sure because I don't remember all this of the actual question. Did that answer it?
It does. I think that the tricky part of all this is nobody wants to feel sick. Nobody wants to go through an illness. And definitely nobody wants to have to go through a death. And then people have told me, but what lesson am I supposed to learn from somebody I love or somebody that's in my life or myself being sick? Is it the belief of oneself, acknowledgement, oneself core, oneself just believing that there is a cause for everything? I mean, the eventuality of this thing, we're all even.
Well,
But
what
getting there is different.
I'm hearing very much, it's very much the path for the person that's sick. That's their journey. So how they handle that, and this is important, I think, and they're telling me how they handle it. We can help people overcome that the best that we can, but that's their journey. It's like if something is going on with me, I can go to someone with the belief system that I have and they can tell me, but I may not be ready to hear that. We all are on individual journeys in our life. So we all get sick, we all die, but it's where we are at that time, how we handle it. That makes sense, yes?
And what does that signify at that time how we handle it?
Well, it depends where we are on our journey. So if someone you love has a terminal disease or they're sick, yes, it can tell us a lot because maybe we're meant to be going through that journey with that particular person. So how we react is going to show how we really are on helping that person. Ultimately, the journey is for them. But when someone comes into your life that is sick and you're close to, we need tolerance. We need a lot of things, and maybe some people can't give that. So they're learning something to be able to do what they're meant to do. Not everybody learns that lesson. It's not easy. But if we become aware of it, we can see what we're doing. But then again, if someone is sick in your life, you don't want to pull yourself down because that's not going to help the other person. Does that answer the question?
It answers the question, but it then opens up Pandora's box to more questions. But it's interesting because you have the ability to ask the question and to seek an answer because everybody is an individual. Everybody's mission, I'm assuming here, is different.
Yeah.
And it could be the same common problem with different outcomes and different solutions, correct?
Yes, and this is true. We all have, and we all come into contact with people that have diseases, including ourselves. I think our lesson is sometimes that we can get some indication of what you're saying, where it's going, is that person that may have an illness, if they're close to you, it's going to affect you personally more than someone you can hear, that is a little distance from you. You're going to feel bad for that person, but you're not actually going through it with that person. And so I think when you're going through something with someone that's close to you, there are lessons that we both can learn from that, actually.
Hi, Sally.
Sure.
You got a question?
I think you need the mic, though, Sandy. Yeah.
I was just wondering, I think I'm a very positive person, but then again, I'm sometimes negative. And when I was sick, very sick, I mean, the doctors didn't expect me to live, nobody did. I had like 10 things, COVID, pneumonia, you name it, I had it. Now, and people were at the window passing by, like an incubator, like they're looking at the babies, and I'm saying, hey, I'm fine, I'm all right, I'm here. And they wouldn't acknowledge me. Now, this was when I was sick, hallucinating or whatever. But what about my inner self? Am I really positive, or do I have to be both? Positive, negative, negative.
Okay.
I mean, did I really want to survive?
Yes. I mean, I've known you a long time, Sandy. Just to let our viewers know, we are good friends and we've known each other for many years.
Right.
You are actually, as far as what I can tell, and I'm getting goosebumps, you are a very strong, positive person. For people that know your story will tell you that that's who you are. So you are not ready to pass to the next transition.
Oh.
Okay? So I feel that you give yourself plus other people messages because maybe the odds were against you as far as the medical profession saw, but you have a tremendous, and I'm saying this because I know you, a tremendous ability to overcome this. It's not your time. Not your time. You listen to my show. You're meant to be listening to this. Okay? So I believe that you can overcome a tremendous amount. For anyone that knows your story, they will agree with me.
So stay on the positive side.
All the time, please. Yes, we all have days that we feel low, but because your strength, you have tremendous strength. You've still got lessons to learn. Okay? But that's okay. They're all good. From here on in, they're good lessons.
Okay.
Because it continues on your path of where you're going.
Okay, thank you.
Is it safe to say that maybe her journey is to teach others what she went through? You can sustain.
Well,
also?
yes, I believe that any of us that go through, and especially with Sandy, and they're going to say, well, what happened to Sandy? But that's okay. I won't mention it on the air, but unless you want me to. But yes, people can learn from our stories. We're here not only to learn, for the ones that are more advanced, we're also here to share our stories to help other people that are going through this. I mean, I've had a lot of advice from my friend, and you knew Aldo, from my guide that passed, but I feel that he's continuing to be here and letting me know certain things because he wanted me to pass my message on of what I have gone through. You know, we have different things and different degrees of what we're going through, but yours is a little different to my story. But then again, you know my story of what I've gone through. We're here to spread that message on, yes.
So, another question. So I pulled through that ordeal, and I'm struggling with writing my side of the story. And could it be I survived all that because my story needs to be told to help
Okay.
others?
I can only go with what I feel and my goosebumps, because people know that. Yes, I'm getting goosebumps, Sandy. Yes, it's time for you now to put your own story in your own words, because it'll be here way after you've gone. And people will pick that up and say, look how she survived with all the odds against her. It's important for you to, and then again, it's entirely up to you, but it's important for you to tell your story. That's my advice. You don't have to follow anything I'm saying, but that's what. Good, good. As I am with mine. I'm going forward more now with my story. There's things have changed since I first wrote that book, but a story and a movie, as you have too.
Hi, Sally.
Like the
Hi.
book, just the movie.
Both.
Well, we got the movie coming out soon, right?
Yes, hopefully the movie, yes, I've got Gino working on it, who I asked to be a guest today, but unfortunately couldn't, but we'll go forward with a whole lot. I believe if I don't do it now, when?
That's
Right?
true, yeah. I know we were talking about past lives today, and I do feel have a strong connection to one of them, but I was wondering if you can notice any, or how can we pick things up of past lives that we've had before?
Well, it's a feeling, you know, sometimes you might see a place, a person, and a thing. If you feel, and as a very good example, when we meet certain people in our lives, why should we feel drawn to some people? And sometimes we have this instant, oh, leave me, there's no way, they may not even have to speak. So if we carry that through, we don't have to do it all the time. I'm not going to look at everybody and say, well, you're in my previous lives. But when you feel an immediate connection, good or bad, there's a reason for that connection. So it depends how much the interest is there. I'm extremely interested in previous lives today. I feel things, I've drawn things from my previous lives that I hadn't seen. So how am I able to draw certain things, you know, from other lifetimes? We all have our own little clues along the way of who we were.
And I know you like to say that each life, or each lifetime that we have, we learn something new. Or in a new life, we're supposed to learn something depending on what we've had in the past. But is there like a final goal, or is there an end goal of anything?
Okay,
or?
I like that question, because we actually can go through, as my guide Aldo had told me, he knew me very much from when, I'm going to say, in the 15th century. I learned a lot, more than what I know now in that particular lifetime, because I'm drawing, so I can't deny that. I didn't know these things. But I also had lifetimes after that where I had so much responsibility in that particular lifetime that when I started to come back again, and I've been back a few times, it never left me, but it was dormant. So just like anything else, it's a journey we're on. So if we're meant to remember our lifetimes and we're open to that, we will. But it's not always the time, even though you know a lot, to bring it in that particular life, because there's still lessons to learn. We continue and we continue. I can't give you the end product because I don't know, but I think eventually we just say, okay, we're ready, we've reached it. I can't tell you beyond that.
I mean, it's kind of nice to know that there's no end, though, that we're always just going to keep going, you know?
Yeah.
Isn't that, I mean, that's just the definition of life as well, too, just to keep going, right?
Exactly. And the reason for these that we're doing, we're our own directors of our own life. And although some things may be wrong, you see now how the learning lessons fit in. If we don't learn, and it's our choice. I don't believe that there are people up there saying, you're not going to do that, you haven't learned your lesson. It's up to us so that we can graduate to another level of understanding, because there are different dimensions, and I'm becoming very aware of that. So when we've done everything, let's say, in what we call the 3D dimension, there's the fourth and fifth. We graduate, but that doesn't mean we've graduated. We just graduate into another way of seeing things and then continue to learn on that dimension. And on it goes. Beyond that, I think I'll go crazy if I start telling you, because I don't know.
Sandy, I got a question that has something to do with what Josh and Sandy were talking about. You come in to meet certain people, and you could tell that their karma, their cosmic energy is at a different spectrum. And because I meet enough people throughout the year, I can actually sense the difference. Is this part of the learning aspect that you have going on, the way it's rewarded and fed to the body so others can see it?
Actually, I like that question because we can look at it from 2 points of view. When these people come into our lives, no matter what, because I believe that nobody comes into our life without some little reason. But it depends where we are on our journey. So that particular person can come into our life and we're just not ready to see it, and they can come and go. However, that person might return maybe in our lifetime. There's no such thing as time, but let's say 5 or 6 years later, when we've opened up, that person can come back because they may be ready, and suddenly we will see them as a different way. A very, very good example for myself was my friend Aldo, who was my guide. I met him 2 years before he opened up to me. He never opened up to tell me who he was, and we were working in the same place because I was not ready. 2 years later, when I had this dream and everything, not everything, but I began to open up through astral projection, he knew, and he introduced himself to me after knowing me for 2 years and had not spoken to me, but knew that I had seen something in my journey at that last night and told me my whole dream. I was ready. If I had not been ready, he wouldn't have even said it to me, but had he have said anything, I'd have thought he was crazy. So it's up to us to interpret ourselves. Those people that understand will continue to come back, I do believe, to help us. And I think I only have 1 minute, so I don't even know if we're ready for another question. If I have,
I don't know if we have another question, but I just want to let people again know if they want to contact you or call you to ask you questions on the show by calling 888-994-4995 Studio A. And if they want to contact you, what's the best way to reach you?
it's Sally. I'm in the. No, I don't.
I guess the best
Thank
way to
you.
reach Sally is
You
by
know me
reaching
at
the
this
studio.
point.
Yeah, you're in your little trance.
These questions are too difficult. The rest are easy. Thank you. Thank you. And please contact me with anything. No question is stupid. Okay. Thank you very much.
So, bye, Sally.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye, everybody. Bye-bye. Coincidence or not, it's time to trust your intuition and knowings. Thank you for joining me through this journey of self-discovery and awakening with the help of my spirit guides. I'm Sally Bernard, and you can find my book, artwork, and contact through artbysallybernard.com. Join us next week. This has been Call Me Zena.